The universe contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies, hundreds of billions of stars in ours alone. By every statistical calculation, the conditions for life and for intelligence should have arisen countless times. And yet, we have received no confirmed signal, no confirmed visit, no confirmed evidence of anyone else. These are 10 theories that attempt to explain why. Number 10. The rare earth hypothesis. Most discussions of extraterrestrial life begin with the assumption that Earth is ordinary, that planets like ours are common, that the conditions for complex life are nothing special. The rare earth hypothesis says the opposite. Proposed by paleontologist Peter Ward and astronomer Joe Kirschvink, it argues that the emergence of complex multicellular life requires such a precise combination of conditions that it may have happened only once or almost never in the observable universe. Consider what Earth has. A large moon that stabilizes our axial tilt, preventing catastrophic climate swings. A giant outer planet, Jupiter, whose gravity deflects the majority of incoming asteroids away from the inner solar system. A position in the galactic habitable zone, far enough from the violent galactic center to avoid lethal radiation, close enough to contain the heavy elements needed for rocky planets. A magnetic field, plate tectonics, liquid water, a star that doesn't flare violently, a roughly circular orbit. Remove any one of these. Life as we know it either never emerges or is sterilized before it can develop complexity. Simple microbial life may be common across the universe, but intelligent life, the kind capable of building civilizations and radio telescopes, may require a combination of conditions so specific that Earth is, for all practical purposes, alone. Number 9. The Great Filter. The Great Filter is the most disturbing concept in this list because its most frightening version has already been partially confirmed. Proposed by economist Robin Hanson, it suggests that somewhere along the path from simple chemistry to galaxy-spanning civilization, there is a step so difficult, so unlikely, so catastrophically hard to cross that almost no species ever makes it through. The question is where that filter sits. If the filter is behind us, if the emergence of life, or of complex cells, or of intelligence itself, was the almost impossible step, then we have already survived it, and the future is open. The emptiness of the universe is explained by the rarity of our past. But if the filter is ahead of us, if the catastrophic bottleneck lies at nuclear weapons, or biotechnology, or artificial intelligence, or some technology we haven't invented yet, then every species that reaches our level of development eventually destroys itself. The universe is silent, not because intelligence is rare, but because intelligence consistently fails to survive its own capabilities. The more advanced and civilized an alien world appears in any observation, the worse the news. If they didn't make it through, neither will we. Number 8. The Dark Forest Theory. The dark forest theory doesn't argue that intelligent civilizations are rare or destroyed. It argues that they exist, and that they are all deliberately hiding. The logic is built on two premises. First, survival is the primary goal of any civilization. Second, resources are finite, and intentions are ultimately unknowable. Given these two facts, any civilization that detects another faces a rational dilemma. You cannot fully verify the other civilization's intentions. You cannot guarantee they will remain friendly as they grow more powerful, and you cannot afford to be wrong. The only safe move, therefore, is to eliminate the threat before it can become one. And the only safe response to that reality for every civilization is silence, absolute silence, because any signal you broadcast tells others exactly where you are. In a dark forest, every civilization is a hunter, moving carefully, making no sound. And when something announces its presence, when a signal is detected, the rational response among survivors is not curiosity, it is elimination. If this theory is correct, the galaxy is full of civilizations, all of them holding their breath. And we, broadcasting radio waves in all directions for over a century, have already announced our location to everyone who is listening. Number 7. The zoo hypothesis. What if the silence isn't because civilizations don't exist, but because they already know about us and are choosing not to interfere? The zoo hypothesis, proposed by radio astronomer John Ball in 1973, suggests that advanced civilizations are aware of Earth. They have been for some time. But they maintain a deliberate policy of non-contact, allowing us to develop on our own terms, undisturbed by their presence. The analogy is a wildlife reserve. Humans observe animals in nature without intervening, allowing ecosystems to develop naturally. An advanced civilization with the technology to observe us from a distance might operate on the same principle, conscious of the damage that premature contact could do to a developing species. The unsettling implication is that the silence we interpret as emptiness is actually the silence of careful observers. The universe is not empty, it is watching, and it has made a deliberate decision not to answer. Number 6. The simulation hypothesis. If the universe is a computational simulation, then the question of why it feels empty has a simple answer. It was designed that way. A simulated universe requires computational resources. Simulating intelligent life in detail is expensive. Simulating the vast majority of stars and galaxies at full resolution with their own ecosystems, their own civilizations, their own internal physics would require resources that grow exponentially with each additional civilization added to the simulation. A simulation optimized for efficiency might render only what is directly observable from the simulated civilization's location. Everything beyond the range of our telescopes could be a low-resolution background, a placeholder. Other civilizations might not exist in the simulation at all because they were never needed. The simulation is running one experiment. The experiment is us. Under this hypothesis, the emptiness of space is not a cosmic mystery. It is a design choice. The universe is empty because whoever is running it didn't need it to be full. Number 5. The Berserker hypothesis. In the 1960s, mathematician John von Neumann described a theoretical self-replicating machine, a probe that could travel to a new star system, harvest local resources, build copies of itself, and send those copies onward. One probe becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes millions. Given enough time, a single such machine could fill an entire galaxy. The Berserker hypothesis applies this concept with a dark twist. What if one civilization, xenophobic, paranoid, or simply determined to eliminate competition, launched self-replicating probes with a single instruction: find any sign of life and destroy it? One civilization, one decision, one probe. Over millions of years, that probe replicates across the galaxy. Any civilization that reaches radio transmitting capability announces its location. The probe network detects the signal and eliminates the source before it can grow into a threat. The Berserker hypothesis, first formalized by astrophysicist David Brin in 1983, means the universe could be full of dead civilizations, and that the silence is not emptiness, but the aftermath of systematic erasure. We are either next, or we have not yet been loud enough to notice. Number 4. The planetarium hypothesis. Proposed by science fiction author and physicist Stephen Baxter in 2001, the planetarium hypothesis is among the most paranoid solutions to the Fermi paradox. It suggests that the universe we observe is not real, not in the simulation sense, but in the sense that the observable sky has been deliberately falsified. An advanced civilization far older than ours has constructed a shell around our solar system, an enormous technological structure that intercepts everything we observe and replaces it with a fabricated image of an empty universe. The stars are real, but the data we receive from them, the absence of signals, the absence of megastructures, the apparent emptiness, has been edited. We are being shown a version of the cosmos that has been specifically designed to make us believe we are alone. Why? One interpretation is protective, keeping a young, potentially dangerous species isolated until it is ready for contact. Another is predatory, keeping prey unaware of what surrounds it. Either way, the sky we see every night may not be the sky that actually exists. Number 3. The transcension hypothesis. Most theories about alien civilizations assume they expand outward, building megastructures, colonizing star systems, spreading across the galaxy. The transcension hypothesis proposed by futurist John Smart in 2012 argues the opposite. As civilizations become more advanced, they don't expand outward into space. They compress inward into smaller, faster, more efficient computational and physical systems. Instead of building Dyson spheres around stars, they build microscale systems. Instead of colonizing galaxies, they simulate entire universes within the space of a room. A sufficiently advanced civilization doesn't need the physical universe. It creates its own inner space, running at a density and speed that makes the physical cosmos irrelevant. It transcends outward expansion entirely. Under this hypothesis, the universe is full of advanced civilizations, but they are invisible to us, not because they are hiding, not because they are dead, but because they have moved to a domain we cannot observe, cannot detect, and cannot meaningfully imagine. They went inward. We are still looking outward. Number 2, interstellar travel is too hard. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most convincing. The nearest star to our sun is Proxima Centauri, 4.2 light-years away. At the speed of the fastest spacecraft humanity has ever built, reaching it would take approximately 70,000 years. Even at 10% of the speed of light, an engineering achievement that would require technology orders of magnitude beyond anything we currently possess, the journey would take 42 years, one way. The Milky Way is 100,000 light-years across. A round trip to the galactic center, even at a fraction of light speed, would span multiple human lifetimes. The energy required to accelerate a meaningful payload to relativistic speeds is extraordinary. The infrastructure needed to survive the journey is beyond anything in our current engineering horizon. Perhaps other civilizations have faced the same barrier. Perhaps the stars are simply too far apart, not because anyone is hiding, not because anyone is dead, but because the universe built its civilizations too far from each other, and the physics of movement between them makes contact effectively impossible on any practical timescale. The universe is not empty. It is just too large. Number 1, the Fermi paradox. In the summer of 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi was walking to lunch at Los Alamos with colleagues when the conversation turned to a recent cartoon about flying saucers. The discussion moved to the possibility of extraterrestrial life, and Fermi, almost casually, asked a question. Where is everybody? It was not a rhetorical question. It was a calculation. The Milky Way is roughly 10 billion years old. Even at conservative estimates, thousands of civilizations should have emerged with enough time to develop interstellar travel. Even at slow expansion rates, colonizing one new star system per century, a single civilization could fill the entire galaxy in a few million years. A few million years is nothing against 10 billion. It should have happened many times over by now. And yet, no confirmed signal, no confirmed artifact, no confirmed contact of any kind. The Fermi paradox is not a theory. It is a problem. Every theory on this list is an attempt to answer it. The rare Earth hypothesis says complex life is the filter. The Great Filter says something destroys civilizations. The Dark Forest says they are hiding. The Berserker says they are already dead. The Transcension says they left. The simulation says they were never simulated. Every answer implies something dark. Either we are alone, an accident of such improbable specificity that we may never encounter another mind in the observable universe, or we are not alone, which means that something prevents civilizations from being heard, and that something may be waiting for us too. Fermi asked the question at lunch and laughed when he did, but the question never went away, and 70 years of searching have not brought us any closer to an answer.